I had worked with Thomas Newman before because he had scored American Beauty, and I think he's such a brilliant composer. We asked him to compose the music first, just to compose a 90-second piece of music.
Well, I mean, I'd met Alan Ball during American Beauty, and I certainly loved his work, and he called me and asked me to see a pilot for 6 Feet Under, which I was happy to do.
Usually, you do picture first and then you add music. We did it the other way around just because, I think basically because we didn't have any idea what we wanted picture-wise.
And then the way that Tom likes to work, which worked well with us, is that he would sit down and talk with us, and then he would go off and come back with a CD on which he had burned in like 15 sketches. These would be like 30 seconds or so of music, not with a theme melody written, but with totally different textures, sounds, colors, and just sort of feel what kind of groove struck us intuitively as the right tone for the show.
We talked about, you know, starting with a kind of something kind of that evoked something celestial or heavenly, which was always for me, I guess, kind of a raised fourth degree.
And then we took the pilot that was finished and Tom's theme music and sent that package to 5 of the leading visual effects houses and said, based on this, now come in and pitch your ideas.
When Digital Kitchen came in and they had storyboards and everything of basically what is the main title sequence now, they had 4 or 5 different concepts, and we took a piece here and there from the other concepts, but the main concept with the tree and the sort of the hands coming apart, and that was theirs from the very beginning. And I remember looking at that and thinking, that's so elegant, you know, and it's so cinematic and it's so unlike TV, you know, and I just sort of went, I really love that.
One of the things that we wanted to achieve in the title sequence, which was, one of the reasons that we let the pitches come to us and that we encouraged Digital Kitchen to go their own way and come up with things that were beyond anything we had suggested, was that we wanted something that you would see week after week after week and be entertained enough to keep watching. Something that wouldn't completely reveal itself on the first viewing.
They basically did it on their own. You know, we of course met with them and gave them notes and stayed involved in the process, but it was their concept and they executed it as well.
Paul was the main person behind the ideas that came to us, and I know there were a large number of people who worked on this sequence, particularly in terms of the flame work and all of the various effects that had to be put on top of the actual footage. But basically everything got channeled through Paul to us and from us back to Paul.
The great thing about this project is that, you know, all Alan Ball told us was that he really had no preconceived ideas in terms of what it was he was thinking, and if he did, he wouldn't share them with us anyway, because he wanted to make sure that he got the broadest spectrum of possible solutions back from us.
The initial meeting was pretty fun, and it's scary at the same time, and not scary because of who we were presenting with, but when I left the meeting, it was scary because I thought they might buy the storyboard that we presented that had all this live action in. But it was really cool. We had 4 tasteful solutions. We like to go in and cover the gamut.
The thing about Digital Kitchen was it just jumped out. It's just, they showed me the storyboards and I saw it. It was very, very clearly thought out. It was a piece. It meant something. It wasn't just about getting the information across. It was about establishing the mood of the show.
The first time I heard the track, I was completely blown away with it. I thought it was going to be incredibly beneficial to me to edit to that piece of music because it's going to make me look like a great editor. And one of the first visuals that we saw was a sketch that Danny did. And what we did at that point is we edited that to music.
The main reason I had begun the animatic was because there were just some shots in stock that I couldn't find in order to tell the story that we really wanted to tell. And so we went ahead and just put it together in sketch form. Well, at this point, we wanted to, you know, kind of put it to the test. And so we had drawn up a story animatic with very specific shots on how we wanted to handle some of these things. This whole, you know, where the mortician would travel, you know, what would happen after a person's placed into a casket and goes in a hearse, and You know, what would the scene be like after the hearse was Tanner Cemetery, for example? How the type would appear on a tombstone, and then the closing shot. I mean, maybe it's a thing where it's a casket going down into the earth. I did some initial stock research, and I was inspired by a certain series of photos that I had found that had the gurney, you know, going down the hall. And then I searched along those lines. That was the strongest image for me. I really liked the way that it was just a singular object, just doing, it had a very strong story behind it, but it was also very beautiful.
If I remember correctly, those feet on the gurney were part of their original storyboard. And I loved the fact that the actual titles themselves, the actors' names and the name of the show and the various production staff, was, I felt like the typeface was very elegant and it was smaller. You know, a lot of times in TV sequences, it's very big, or you have to see the actors' faces, and that just felt so recognizable. And what I liked was the understatedness and the elegance.